국장님 해외 출장가들하고 인사 못하게. 아까 전화 주셨는데.
개입 정도수 된 거죠? 네, 의석을 정돈해 주시기 바랍니다. 성원이 되었으므로 제2차 본회의를 개의하겠습니다. 지금 방청석에 본회의를 방청하러 온 국민들이 있어 소개하도록 하겠습니다. 강준현 의원 소개로 세종 해밀초등학교 학생들이 본회의를 방청하러 오셨습니다. 국회 방문을 환영합니다. 의사국장으로부터 보고가 있겠습니다.
보고사항을 말씀드리겠습니다. 6월 10일 국민의힘 교수단체 대표위원이 정점식 의원으로 변경되었다는 보고가 있었습니다. 6월 10일 대통령으로부터 국무총리 한성숙 임명 동의안이 제출되었습니다. 6월 8일 유상범 의원 등 110인으로부터 6.3 지방선거 선거관리위원회 투표용지 부족사태 관련 진상규명을 위한 국정조사 요구서가 제출되었고, 한병도 의원 등 161인으로부터 제9회 전국 동시지방선거 투표용지 부족사태의 진상규명 및 선거관리 개혁을 위한 국정조사 요구서가 제출되었습니다. 기타 자세한 내용은 회의록에 게재하도록 하겠습니다. 이상으로 보고를 마치겠습니다.
의사 일정에 들어가기에 앞서 한 말씀 드리도록 하겠습니다. 방금 의사국장이 보고한 바와 같이 투표용지 부족 사태와 관련하여 양 교섭단체로부터 국정조사 요구서가 제출되었습니다. 선거는 민주주의의 근간을 이루는 제도입니다. 그런 점에서 이번 지방선거 과정에서 발생한 투표용지 부족 사태는 국민의 기본권을 훼손하고 절차적 민주주의의 근간인 선거 행정의 신뢰를 뒤흔든 심각한 사태라고 생각합니다. 국정조사를 통해 현행 선거관리 체계의 문제점을 정확히 진단하고 선거관리 전반에 대한 개선 방안을 마련함으로써 국민들께서 신뢰할 수 있는 선거제도가 확립되기를 바랍니다. 각 교섭단체 대표위원들께서는 진상규명 및 국민 참정권 침해 사태가 회복될 수 있도록 적극 협의해 주시기 바랍니다. 아울러 현재 본회의에는 22대 국회 전반기 동안 상임위원회에서 의결되어 본회의에 부의된 87건의 법률안이 아직 처리되지 못한 상태입니다. 민생과 직결된 법안들이 조속히 처리되어 국민들께서 국회의 효능감을 느낄 수 있도록 교섭단체 대표위원들께서는 법률안 처리를 위한 의사일정을 조속히 협의해 주시기 바랍니다. 다음은 지난 6월 5일 본회의에서 선서를 하지 못한 김성범 의원의 선서를 실시하겠습니다. 김성범 의원께서는 발언대로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 의석에 계신 의원 여러분께서는 모두 일어서 주시기 바랍니다. 의원 여러분께서는 김성범 의원이 선서할 때 손을 들지 마시고 그대로 서 계시면 됩니다. 그러면 김성범 의원 선서해 주시기 바랍니다.
선서. 나는 헌법을 준수하고 국민의 자유와 복리의 증진 및 조국의 평화적 통일을 위하여 노력하며 국가 이익을 우선으로 하여 국회의원의 직무를 양심에 따라 성실히 수행할 것을 국민 앞에 엄숙히 선서합니다. 2026년 6월 11일 국회의원 김성범.
의원 여러분께서는 의석에 앉아주시기 바랍니다. 다음은 방금 선서하신 김성범 의원의 인사가 있겠습니다. 인사해 주시기 바랍니다.
존경하는 조정식 국회의장님, 그리고 선배 의원 여러분, 대한민국 최남단 서귀포시 보궐선거에서 당선된 김성범 의원입니다. 짧은 선거운동 기간임에도 불구하고 저를 선택해서 국회에서 일할 수 있도록 해주신 서귀포 시민 여러분께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 선거 과정에서 제가 마주한 우리 지역의 현실은 엄중했습니다. 민생 경제 활력 회복해야 되고요. 어르신들 많으시더라고요. 의료, 복지 좀 더 개선해야 된다는 느낌 받았습니다. 어렵게 출산을 한 아이들 잘 보살펴야 한다는 요구도 같이 느꼈습니다. 우리 청년들에게 미래에 대한 비전과 꿈을 함께 심어줘야 한다는 책임감도 들었습니다. 이러한 많은 과제들은 이 자리에 계신 많은 의원님들께서 함께 공감하는 일이라고 생각을 합니다. 저는 평생을 공직에서 일하면서 해양수산부에서 일을 했습니다. 현장을 많이 다녔다고 생각을 했습니다. 제가 다니는 현장은 바닷가가 주로였습니다. 바닷가는 농촌과 어촌이 병존하는 그런 장소가 되겠습니다. 그러나 제가 행정을 하면서 봤던 지역과 제가 국민들과 함께 바라봤던 지역의 느낌은 달랐습니다. 시각이 달라졌다는 거겠죠. 정치가 국민의 삶과 행복을 지켜줄 수 있어야 된다고 생각을 합니다. 이러한 과제를 해결하는데 우리 선배 의원님 여러분의 지혜 같이 구하도록 하겠습니다. 현장 속에서, 국민 속에서 질문을 하고 답을 찾는 국회의원이 되겠습니다. 감사합니다.
김성범 의원 수고하셨습니다. 축하의 말씀을 드립니다. 의사일정 제1항 기후위기 특별위원회 구성의 건을 상정합니다. 기후위기 특별위원회 구성의 건은 온실가스 감축, 탄소 중립 실현 등 기후위기에 대한 대응 방안을 논의하기 위하여 지난 5월 29일자로 활동 기간이 종료된 기후위기 특별위원회를 새롭게 구성하려는 것입니다. 특별위원회 위원수는 20인으로 하고 법률안 심사권을 부여하며 활동 기간은 2026년 8월 31일까지로 하였습니다. 이 안건은 의장이 각 교섭단체 대표위원과 협의하여 제의하는 것으로 자세한 사항은 의석 단말기에 회의 자료를 참고해 주시기 바랍니다. 그러면 기후위기 특별위원회 구성의 건을 의결하도록 하겠습니다. 투표해 주시기 바랍니다. 투표를 다 하셨습니까? 그러면 투표를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 투표 결과를 말씀드리겠습니다. 재석 232인 중 찬성 232인으로서 기후위기 특별위원회 구성의 건은 가결되었음을 선포합니다. 오늘 회의는 이것으로 마치겠습니다. 산회를 선포합니다.
넘어질지 넘어설지 그건 이 안에 달려있어. 물로 채워지지 않는 네 안의 갈증이 커져갈 때 게토레이.
두 사람 분명 뭔가 있다. 함께하는 작업을
문서 하나로
텍스트도
시트도
동영상도
한 곳에서
여럿이 뭐든지 해낸다. 캔바.
A deluge of rain, a safety car start, chaos in the pit lane, and a rookie momentarily taking the lead. That was some sprint race we've just seen here in Belgium. Let's unpack it all as Max Verstappen wins the Belgian Grand Prix sprint race. Welcome to Will Buxton alongside me, and welcome to the upper level of this paddock. And behind us, you can see the media pen, where the drivers are currently telling the world's media exactly what went down in that incredibly eventful, chaotic race. Will Buxton, how did you see it?
Well, it was only 11 laps in the end,
It
so it
felt a lot
was
longer.
all condensed down into just those real sort of intense 11 laps. Of course, we had so many formation laps behind the safety car because of the deluge that hit literally as we were leaving the grid after the pre-show, which delayed the start by some time, and then the safety car going out just until the spray had really been cut down to be acceptable to go back to racing. Because, of course, all we've seen so far this weekend is qualifying. And in qualifying, the cars are far more spread apart. You get far less spray. But in racing conditions, cars really close together. Spray is such an important factor. So just to be safe, but by the time the safety car did come in, it was almost pretty much exactly time to move from the full wet to the intermediate tyres. A number of drivers determined to do that as the race got back underway. Some, including Max Verstappen, waited a lap later, and that's what shook up the order. That's what gave us the excitement. Oscar Piastri leading a race in Formula One for the first time, and I've got to say, doing a brilliant job of it.
Oh, absolutely. And that was just it, wasn't it? It was pitting at the start. So one driver from each team pitted and one stayed out. And it was kind of the gamble, wasn't it, whether it would pay off. And indeed, how lucky or unlucky you were going to be in the pit lane, obviously, because we saw a fair amount of close calls in there, shall we say.
Yeah, and what was fascinating about this, and what really changed the dynamic of who pitted when, was it was a rolling start. Now, if it had been a standing start, I think that the lead drivers from each team would have probably come in first, like Max Verstappen. I think probably would have come in, or it might have been a different weighting of who would have come in. But to see the drivers that did come in when they did, obviously the teams who were running line astern didn't want to double stack, so they'd wait for the second lap. And you got some real great shake-ups in there. Particularly, I'm thinking of Pierre Gasly, who absolutely leapt through the positions as Carlos Sainz fell back. So great for him, great for Alpine as well with that. But it really did sort of shake up the order at that time, and putting Oscar Piastri into the lead was, it wasn't really a gamble from McLaren. It was 1000% the right call. Put him into the lead, and then even with the safety car which came out after that, I thought he held it together incredibly well. Very calm, very confident, and drove absolutely beautifully. These then, the first drivers to come in and stop: Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Hamilton, Checo Perez as well, all coming in. And a number of drivers having to take the slower stop. For Piastri, absolutely simple: in and out, one of the benefits of being so far down the pit lane. But for another couple of drivers, fairly difficult for them. We saw with the Alpine of Gasly coming out almost into the path of Fernando Alonso. We saw the same thing when Charles Leclerc came in the next lap for Ferrari. You can just about get drivers side by side, but I've got to say I did find it interesting that there were no calls at all to even investigate unsafe releases in the pit lane. Well, they weren't even investigated, which I found quite strange.
Yeah, because I made note of a few, thinking, preempting the FIA to stand in then and say, an unsafe release here, an unsafe release there. I mean, Max Verstappen, it seemed a slow stop initially, but actually what it was holding, and it was so well judged as Lando Norris there came in.
But So they held him once and then let him go, and that,
Oh!
yeah, that could have been very nasty indeed. Real shock not to see that even investigated. But let's say an interesting day of decisions from the FIA with the penalty for Hamilton, which I'm sure we'll come on to at a certain point in time. Some, yeah, let's say intriguing calls today.
Some interesting ones. Kevin Magnussen there just walking through the back of shot. Not a day for Haas, but signing autographs nevertheless for fans here who are flocking around this media pen behind us.
Well, Kev at one point, I think, was trying to get the team to put him onto slicks.
Oh, and yeah, he was. Yeah, he was saying it was possible.
He was so far back. He was, you know, that was the kind of team, that was the kind of opportunity, I thought, for someone to roll a dice. I know at that time, though, there was another little pocket of rain just starting to come in, and so the team may have been looking at that and thinking, let's not risk it, you know? But honestly, in a sprint, when you're that far back in the order, you've got to roll the dice, you've got to try something. So disappointed not to see them try the slick, but I think with how wet the track actually ended up being, probably would have been too early, just a bit.
Yeah, just a tad. We don't want to see anybody else in the wall. Of course, Fernando Alonso with a spin into the wall. Checo Perez, of course, also retiring, beaching it into the gravel and then coming back out. But obviously, Red Bull choosing to DNF for Sergio Perez. Let's take a look at Fernando Alonso's spin. Uncharacteristic for a driver of his experience, of his sheer brilliance for this to happen. Just hearing we actually don't have that. So there we go. We won't unpack it at all. Let's unpack it for us, Will.
Yeah. I think what it showed was, here we go, we got it. Just a tire over onto the curbing, hits the white line, and it spins him around. Now, this is a driver who's having a frustrating weekend. He's having a frustrating time of it at this part of the season as well. The season that started off so brilliantly for Aston Martin, and every race we came to, even if it wasn't quite what he'd expected or quite what he'd wanted, the optimism, the faith, the confidence in his car and in his team was there. That has dissipated over the last few Grand Prix, as they now admit they've made a wrong turn in terms of the development of that car. They had all of that development time. Such an advantage over the other teams because of where they finished last season in 7th place. All of that additional time, and they've squandered it on taking the wrong developmental path with that car. And Fernando, when things are going well, is a joy. When things aren't going well, Fernando starts to tighten the bolts and the pressure starts to ramp up, and you can see in his general demeanor when he's being talked to in the media pen, just the way that he handles himself when he's walking around the paddock, that stress level in him is starting to increase, and you know that there are going to be some pretty serious words behind the scenes. That's not an at-ease Fernando Alonso that was driving out there today. He was driving tense. And you don't see mistakes like that from Fernando very often.
No, you don't, do you? It's fascinating to see. I was going to say earlier on, we heard him speaking to Lawrence Barretto, not happy at all after the shootout, and I can't imagine he's going to be much happier now. Here he is.
Hey, Fernando, it looked like you just put a wheel on the curb and just kind of got out of shape. What it was like behind the wheel?
Yeah, my mistake. I touched the curb or the white line or whatever, and I lost the car. I was very close to Nico, so I lost a little bit of rhythm into that corner. We were out of the points anyway. I think today impossible to be in the top 8. So yeah, if one time you have to have a DNF, maybe better today than any other day.
How tricky were the conditions out there, and kind of just judging what where you could push and where you couldn't push?
Yeah, it was tricky. Obviously, we've been the whole weekend finding the grip and guessing what the grip is in each of the corners. I think the race it was not different because every lap the track improvement is massive. So yeah, it was tricky also with all the cars. Obviously, the visibility was very different than qualifying, so it was tricky.
Okay, so thank you.
A different Fernando Alonso to the one we saw post-shootout. When asked, what can you do in the sprint? He said nothing and walked away from Lawrence sort of mid-question. They're able, I think, just to reflect and take a beat and kind of just look back on what was a difficult day, and indeed on his birthday as well. I know that doesn't count for much, you know, when you're 42 and you're a racing driver, but not the ideal way to spend it, is it?
I don't know. There are worse things in life than driving Grand Prix cars, I'm sure. But yeah, look, were it a Grand Prix, were it tomorrow that it ended in that kind of a fashion, I think he'd be a little bit more down. As he said, we weren't scoring points today anyway, so you know, it is what it is.
It is. Let's talk about the moment that Max Verstappen retook the lead, of course, of this race. He lost the 1 position to Oscar Piastri, choosing to pit in the second lap rather than straight in. But the way he retook that lead was ballsy, my goodness me. Pinned up Eau Rouge, right at the back of Oscar Piastri. It was something. Supreme was the word I think you uttered when we were watching it, Will.
I think I shouted.
I think you did, yeah.
And it was. This is just the end of it. You know, where you really need to be is on board from the exit of La Source, because what he does is picks up from right behind him, blasts down into Eau Rouge. Do you know what? We've got Fred Vasseur, so I'll stop talking about that and we'll talk to you. Fred, an unexpected pickup of an extra place today with Lewis having that penalty. How happy are you with the result for both of your cars today?
Oh, it was mathematically it's a good one for us because we score more points than Mercedes and Aston Martin. At the end, it was a strange race because I think it was dictated by the pace into the pit lane more than something else. Not even the pace of the pit stop, but more the pace of the traffic. But it is like it is. We have to take the good side of today, that we score good points, and to be focused on tomorrow because we'll start in a good position.
I know we had mixed conditions today, Fred, mixed conditions yesterday, expecting potentially dry tomorrow. Have you managed to learn anything from today to take into tomorrow in terms of
I'm not sure that
pace?
you can learn something from today.
Is that a no?
But yeah, no, that we score good points. That's it. No, that for tomorrow, the way on the way the conditions are so different in Spa that you can't learn from one day to the other one. Except that today, that after a couple of laps, we started with the X-weight, we put in there, and after 5 laps, that it was ready for sticks. Yeah. That it, at the end, for the drivers, it was more race management and tire management than something else.
Given that there's been no proper dry running this weekend, it's always been wet, drying on track. Do you want a wet race tomorrow that's drying, or would you rather have a dry, even though there's been no proper dry running?
좀 비싸 보이는데?
괜찮아. 아고다 모텔이야.
오, 가성비 챙기는 남자네?
너 부담 안 되는 게 제일 중요하지.
그럼
나도 부담 없이 좋아해볼까? 아고다 남자?
배드 테이스트 소사이어티 숙면의 발견.
내 꿈은 눕자마자 푹 자는 거.
전신 스트레칭으로 깊이 재워주는 R7. 수면 패턴이 달라도
한 침대를 쓸 수 있을까?
각자의 수면 패턴에 맞춰 R5, R3.
온몸을 풀어줄 침대가 있다면
허리를 이완해 숙면을 유도하는 R5.
아이와 함께 푹 잘 수 있는 침대 없나?
아이와 아빠의 숙면을 하나의 침대로 R3, R0. 이제 각자 원하는 대로 81가지 조합의 침대로 대한민국 누구나 편안하게 숙면할 수 있도록 시작합니다. 모두의 수면 취향을 존중하는 세상. 배드 테이스트 소사이어티 비렉스 슬립 시스템 81.
We love what we love.
What would you like, Fred?
No, I think starting from the front, that probably the dry race is easier to manage, and we had a good pace with slicks, and I'm quite optimistic on this condition. But you know that it makes no sense to spend your life to do weather forecast in Spa. I think it's
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
good
for
luck
coming
for
up.
tomorrow.
Ciao.
Of course,
Thanks,
Charles
Fred.
Leclerc starting from pole position. Thanks to Fred. I love
that, man.
you know, in such good form, in pure Fred Vasseur form there, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely adore that, man. He is just such a breath of fresh air at Ferrari. I think, you know, it is a fabled, storied team, but one that has always taken itself very, very seriously. So to have somebody who is able to shut out the noise of the pressure and the media and the expectation that comes with one of the most high-pressure jobs in all of world sport, and to be able to laugh at himself is, yeah, part of the man's personality that I think will help him very much in that role. I've got a lot of time for Fred. A lot of time for him. We were talking about Max's beautiful path. As you said, set it up coming out of La Source. And Oscar actually went to defend. And so spray was being kicked up, but Max just swerved to the right, took the perfect line coming into Eau Rouge, swept through, got back into Oscar's wheel tracks, Oscar was slightly offline going in there anyway, so was always going to just have to back out a little bit towards the top. But Max, to have the confidence in the wet to go through in the dirty air, in the wheel tracks, through the spray, through Eau Rouge, through Rayon, and just, even without DRS, just straight past. It was gutsy, it was confident, it was the kind of move that he probably didn't need to make. He could have waited, got the DRS, and did it, but that's just the supreme confidence of your World Championship leader right now. It was glorious to see.
Yeah, and it seems he had a lot of grip out there as well. He was one of 6 drivers who pitted onto new Inters rather than used Inters. And other drivers making moves were the 2 Ferraris, both on Sergio Perez, who had a pretty torrid sprint race out there. But let's hear now from Charles Leclerc.
Charles, being the second of the team's cars to be on the grid today, I guess it was always going to be difficult when everyone wanted to box early doors. Considering that, is it kind of an all right result from where you ended up?
Yeah, honestly, we did it was the right decision, but unfortunately for me, it wasn't the best decision for me. But I understand there was no other ways of doing it. If I would have stopped behind Carlos, I would have lost much more. So we did the right decision as a team, but unfortunately for me, it didn't pay off. And then we also had a slow stop on my side, which is where we need to look at, because it's been few races that now we've been struggling a little bit more on pit stops. Before that race, in terms of statistics, we were still the best team, but it's been the last 2-3 races have been more difficult for us in terms of pit stops. So we need to look into it, as now it's a bit more of a concern.
I know you haven't had a lot of learnings this weekend and track conditions, but you got a bit of that in that race. Do you think that might help tomorrow if it rains again, and did the car feel good?
The car definitely felt overheated, and it was very difficult to keep the tire temperatures under control. But tomorrow will be very different. I think if it's completely dry, whatever we learned today won't be very useful for tomorrow's race.
Okay, thank you.
Great to hear there from Charles Leclerc. Even better to hear from Daniel Ricciardo in person. Welcome along. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. For a few laps, I thought maybe we could get some points. We're in 8th for I don't know, maybe 2 laps. Yeah, that was fun. We lost a bit of pace at the end, but in general, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying being back in the sport, and it was a little sooner than probably I anticipated, but I've enjoyed the first 2 weekends.
We were talking yesterday during quali about the fact you tried to keep it pinned in the wet through Eau Rouge, second weekend back. That we loved, because it showed Daniel Ricciardo was back and confident and happy.
Made me happy too.
How good does that feel, though, we've talked about it so much in the past, to have that feeling back in there and that smile back and genuinely be loving it?
You should be my hype man. That felt good. It's on one hand, obviously I was so disappointed to make the mistake yesterday, but I got back to my room and I was like, you know what? It's good, because I obviously feel something in the car, and as you said, like, that desire is there, and that aggressive approach, if you want to call it that, is there, and so yeah, the intentions were right, and obviously it didn't pay off, but I'd rather that than cruise around a second slower.
Because people have said it's the worst car in the field right now. Does it feel like that, or does there feel like there's potential in it?
I think there's potential in it. I think the first lap I did in Budapest, very first lap, so first lap in the car, I already felt like, oh yeah, like I can get some confidence out of this, and I think the general balance is not too bad. I think we are lacking downforce and overall load, so of course in F1 that goes from making a car great to mediocre if you don't have downforce, but I think it's something to work with. And as I said, the balance, the feeling, I think in 2 weekends I've probably had every condition under the sun, and I've felt relatively comfortable in all conditions. So I think that's a sign as well that the car is relatively well balanced. And we call bad cars other names. I don't think it's one of those names.
That's good to hear. Look, Daniel, P9 today, and I think every single F1 fan out there would have been hoping that you'd have held on for that 1 point in just your second race weekend back.
Yeah.
Talk me through that fight with George Russell. We've got it here for you to have a watch through as well.
I'm not going to correct you. I was 10th in the end. Ocon got me right at the end, but I prefer 9th. It sounds good, so I'm just going to say, yep, 9th. George was coming through quick. I did make a little mistake in the last chicane, trying to, obviously defend. So that gave him a bit better chance, but once he passed me, I he quickly left me. So I think it was a matter of time. So I tried, didn't hold on, and try again tomorrow.
Grand Prix tomorrow, obviously starting from the back.
Yeah.
Dry race, wet race, what do you want?
I want a dry race just so I can do some laps in the dry here. It is such a cool track. I've had enough laps in the wet for a weekend, so a dry race would be fun just to enjoy it and yeah, obviously feel the car a bit more in those conditions on the limit and try to keep giving the team some feedback and learning more for myself as well.
Daniel, you've clearly kept in great shape. You know, third driver for Red Bull. You've kept on it, but physically, how are you feeling? Yeah, you're very welcome. Physically, how are you feeling? How was the neck after Hungary, and how did you feel coming into this weekend? And similarly, after 2 qualifying sessions and a sprint race as well.
I think I feel good. I feel I was definitely a little bit nervous, you know, especially with Budapest. It's one of the most physical ones of the year. So for that to be my first weekend back, I wasn't sure how I was going to go. But yeah, I think, you know, from a few months already, I've been, let's say, ramping up the training. And again, it's something that I've been doing on my own terms. It's something that I've been waking up in the morning and wanting to do it. And I think that was also important for me coming back into the sport, making sure that it's really coming from me. It's not someone pushing me to do it or convincing me you should keep racing, you know. So all these things have been really good. And I think, yeah, I've been training well, I've been training hard, and Budapest was good. I remember getting to halfway through the race and I was expecting by that point to kind of wish for a checkered flag, but actually I finished the race still with a bit of energy, so things are good.
That's awesome to hear.
We've got to let you go, but just really quickly, you know there's historics going around at the moment. Have you seen your HRTs down there?
No way!
Yeah,
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You've been to see you've got to go and see the old girl.
The old girl. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, I will. That's a memorable time. Memorable time. I remember when I know I talk a lot. Sorry for going on.
No, we love it. Carry on.
I think Fabi's about to kill us or you.
When I got to Silverstone for the first time and I was driving my first race with HRT, I remember like looking at the car and trying to convince myself, like, oh yeah, like it's got some downforce and why, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's 4 seconds off the pace. So I remember trying to convince myself that it was going to be fast. But yeah, anyway, I'm still grateful for that experience.
Oh, we're grateful too.
We're grateful for your experience coming on here, mate. Thank you so much.
Daniel, thank you. We loved having you as co-host a few times on F1 TV. We love having you even more back as a driver as well. So thank you.
Me too. Thanks.
Good stuff. Well done today and good luck tomorrow.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, a bientôt. Oh, wow. He has not changed, has
Formula
he? Not
One without
bit.
Daniel Ricciardo is not really Formula One, is it?
That's magic, isn't it? It's so good. Now, listen, from one beaming driver there to one who I'd imagine is not particularly happy at all. He had absolutely no grip out there, ended up in the gravel, retiring the car. This is Sergio Perez.
Hey, Checo, just what happened? Where did your rear tyres go?
No, we had a lot of damage from Lewis. He basically took the whole right-hand side of the car. So once we realized about the damage, we retired.
What do you make of that incident? He obviously got a 5-second time penalty, but what do you think of his...
Well, that meant game over on my race. Yeah, anyway, I look forward for tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we can recover those points.
Thank you.
대한민국 넘버원 김치 브랜드 종가가 알려주는 다 아는 것 같지만 잘 모르는 김치의 모든 것. 종가 김치피디야. 지금 시작합니다.
오이 사랑꾼들을 위한 종가의 특별한 김치, 오이나박 물김치. 제철 오이를 한 입으로 썰어 당근과 쪽파, 나박무, 배추 등으로 새콤달콤합니다. 더운 여름에 딱 좋은 물김치. 종가의 여름 한정판 김치니까 보이면 놓치지 말아야 하는 여름 필수템. 아, 나 입 터진 것 같아. 리얼 김치 러버스.
봐요. 아무리 잘 맞아도 안 맞는 게 하나씩은 있잖아요. 예를 들면 환기 같은 거? 난 아침에 꼭 환기를 해야 돼. 근데 창문 꼭꼭 닫는 사람들 있다? 열었다 닫았다. 전쟁이야 정말. 근데 지금은 알아서 해. 창호에 대한 생각을 환기하다. 휴그린.
a bad afternoon for Sergio Perez, saying there was damage to the car after the contact with Hamilton. Sam's going to just unpack that for us in the studio in just a mo as well. How did you see it, Will?
He was dropping back before the damage started to occur, or before the damage well, the contact happened with Lewis. We haven't managed to speak to anyone from the team, so no confirmation of exactly what the damage was or how bad that was. But yeah, be interesting to see how that one is unpacked. Yeah, I have no idea, because we haven't spoken to the team yet, so it'd be interesting to know exactly what the damage was to the car. But he was certainly starting to fall back. I mean, he was great at the start of the race, absolutely mega. But as soon as we came back from being under the safety car, he was just dropping like a stone. And we know those mediums, you've got to look after them. Had he taken too much out of them in pushing early on until that safety car? I'm not sure. There's only one person that knows, probably, and that's Checo.
Quite the moves by the Ferraris to get round him as well. We were sort of yelping laps 6 and 7 when he was tumbling down the order. The moves that were being made at various parts of the track were incredible.
Absolutely, but look, if you've got no rear grip, if you've abused those rear tyres, then trying to get the traction down on a slippery track surface, coming out of the corners, trying to get your grip going through the, you've just got no grip anywhere at all, and that that was really showing for him, particularly on the traction events, particularly coming out of the corners. Just nothing he could do really, a sitting duck in the end. But that speaks, certainly where he was getting past, speaks to having overworked those rear tyres, and that was what he was complaining about, no rear grip, which speaks to me of abusing those rear tyres. But as I said, only one person knows. Well, the team will know, so hopefully we can speak to someone from the team, but Checo will know himself as well. And if he says it was damage from Lewis, then I have to take him on his word.
Absolutely, and a few, certainly in commentary and down here as well, undecided on whether it was a penalty, it was a racing incident. Sam is going to unpack that incident now between Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez in the studio.
Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez came together on track during the Belgian GP sprint, and quite a few people were wondering, why did Lewis Hamilton pick up a 5-second penalty for that incident, myself included? So I decided to take a look back at the onboard cameras, and they're incredibly revealing to see what happens. Now, bearing in mind that Lewis Hamilton came out of the pits on a new set of intermediates, while Sergio Perez was on a used set of intermediates. Questions about that to come, I'm sure. But coming into one of the penultimate big corners, the Stavolo corner of the circuit, this long right-hander, Lewis Hamilton gets a really good run up the inside of Sergio Perez. You can see the Red Bull's front end just here on the left, and it looks to everybody that Hamilton's got the line into the corner, nice and easy. He can get through, get the job done, quite straightforward. But let's play it through to see what happened. And you can see the English driver gets a move on, then biff, hits the side of the Red Bull. Seems like a racing incident, right? Well, let's play that back a little bit more slowly, and you can wind it back. You can see the Red Bull just where it started again. Now, we come forward, but look at this point. If we go back a bit further, you can see Hamilton's going for the apex of the corner, going for the traditional racing line, which would be absolutely fine if there wasn't a car just on your outside, wheel to wheel of you. And you can see the Mercedes just gets its right front wheel up onto that red and yellow painted curb. Don't forget, that's soaking wet. There's no grip there, and you can see a puff of the water coming off the right front tyre of the Mercedes. Suddenly, no grip from the right front corner of the car, and you can see in Hamilton's steering, he feels that loss of grip, and as we come through the corner, you'll see him make the smallest correction just there. That little movement on the steering, split second of correction, but it's enough to bring the car, with the forces on the car anyway, to bring it slightly off the curb. And look, Perez is right there. Hamilton goes right into the side of the Red Bull, eats a whole chunk of the floor, and really sensitive aerodynamic part, and takes a chunk out of the side of Perez's Red Bull. You can just see it there under the A of Oracle. Now, that damage is what caused Sergio Perez to retire from the sprint. It's not immediately apparent there how severe the damage was, but when we take a look later at the retired car, you can see a huge chunk of bodywork removed from the side of the Red Bull, spread now somewhere in the Belgian countryside. But you can also see here on the brand new Red Bull cooling system, of course, they introduced that last time out in Hungary, you actually see tyre marks on the edge of some of the cooling parts underneath the bodywork. So I'd be absolutely astonished if areas like this, where you've got all that beautiful welding that someone spent a huge amount of time on to put those coolers together, has just had a little crack and they started to lose cooling pressure on the back of that Red Bull. And that loss of coolant could have caused the power unit to fail, or all sorts of other problems under the back of the Red Bull. So they simply had to retire the car. But absolutely vast damage on the back of the number 11 Red Bull. So did that really constitute a 5-second penalty? Well, I think if you follow the book exactly, it was Hamilton perhaps getting a little bit too much on the curb, a little too aggressive, and it was a slight error from the multiple world champion that put him in the side of that Red Bull. But I do think it's a little harsh, but I can see why the FIA reached that conclusion. Will, Laura, what do you think? Because it's a difficult one, but I do see why the penalty was introduced.
Will, a little harsh is what Sam Collins is saying. Before we came to that analysis with the onboard and you saw it again in slow motion and through the angles, you were saying definitely not a penalty. And Toto Wolff, can I just say, it's just walked past us and equally peered in to our return monitor here to have a look as well.
I'm not sure if he was watching the move back or if he was actually having a little look inside the Red Bull, because that was quite a nice view inside what they're doing with their cooling there. Look, we have sprint races because they wanted to promote gutsy races with punchy overtaking, and then you penalise for punchy overtaking. What that does show is the damage to the car, which Checo was talking about. So clearly big damage to the car, but it's not, I don't think it's worthy of a 5-second penalty. It's racing, it's wheel-to-wheel racing. I don't know, if you penalise every side-by-side move, I don't know. I think I will go with Sam to say it's just veering into not a penalty, I think. But it's fine margins. But I will still stand by. Checo was struggling before any damage happened, and the thing that he was complaining about, losing rear grip, was way before that. Way before that.
Toto Wolff coming past and saying definitely a racing incident, as you'd expect the team principal of Mercedes to say. Well, from sort of a bit of a torrid afternoon for the likes of Sergio Perez, and indeed the 5-second penalty for Lewis Hamilton, to a driver who was absolutely delighted come the checkered flag. That is Pierre Gasly in P3.
Pierre, great to see you smiling again after what was a mega result. Just how satisfying is it to finish on the top three?
I'm super happy. I'm super happy for the whole team. You know, we've been pretty unlucky in the recent events, and then we managed to put a very strong qualifying this morning, put it in P6. Took the risk at the right time, fit the inters, and fight until the end to try to hold on Lewis right behind. So it was an intense race, but I really enjoyed these conditions, and then it's a sprint race, it's a sprint podium. It doesn't feel quite like a real podium, but I still take the little third plate, and then I think the most important is more for the team, for the guys, the mood inside the garage, and that's why I'm really happy.
Yeah, you mentioned the team was such a difficult day for you guys yesterday with all the news that was happening. How good is this for the morale for the team, and encouraging for tomorrow as well? Yeah, I mean, especially knowing that the guys are gonna go on a break in about 48 hours, and it's been, it hasn't been easy since the start of the year. We haven't been as competitive as we would have liked, and Hungary was a bit of an example of what's happening since the start. We got involved in a collision, lost the 2 cars, so it was quite a heavy and frustrating last couple of weeks, and to be able to put a strong performance at this time, and also personally in Spa, which is obviously a very special track. With Antoine and what's happened, the history of the track, it's a very meaningful third place. Congrats.
Thank you.
한 입만 먹어보면 알 수 있죠. 온몸이 짜릿하게 반응한다는 걸. 알싸한 청양고추와 부드러운 마요 소스가 선사하는 관능적 미식 경험. 아시죠? 맵슐랭은 온몸으로 먹어야 한다. 자담 맵슐랭 치킨.
Oh, you can see how much it means to Pierre Gasly, and especially here in Spa. Of course, he paid tribute to Antoine Hubert at the top of Eau Rouge with a run for Antoine on Thursday night in the pouring rain. This place, obviously, holds a dear place in his heart for a number of reasons. And look, a great result for him. And goodness me, did Alpine need that this weekend? The distraction they've got off track at the moment, it makes the result even more impressive.
Yeah, but it also shows that, Sunday night, Alain Permain, after 34 years, is leaving the team. And yet today, as sporting director, he helped call that thing perfectly for them and helped take them to a third place. So, just the absolute professionalism of someone like Alain Permain to the very last second for that team. He'll be giving it, his all. And that's the kind of person that they're going to miss now they've got rid of him. Sorry, mutually agreed that he should leave the team.
Thank you. Well, from P3 to P2 for Oscar Piastri, and a sprint race podium for him in his rookie year. He momentarily led the race. Well, it's been a great weekend so far for Oscar Piastri, hasn't it?
Oh, come on. I mean, it's the weekend where all of the hype around Oscar Piastri, and there was so much, almost to the extent that he couldn't live up to the expectations. The fight that erupted over him last year between Alpine and McLaren, everybody saying this is a guy who's won every championship that he's ever contested, the likes of which we've never seen. Better than Russell, better than Norris, better than Leclerc coming through the junior formulas. How are you supposed to live up to that kind of hype? And then in a car and at a team that was struggling all the way through the season, they finally get the upgrades. Lando, pop on the podium. Oscar's in the shadow, and he comes here this weekend and in the most treacherous of conditions just lays it down. It's been magnificent. It's been absolutely wonderful. I love these moments when you see somebody that know's got it, know's got something special, and you just see them deliver it. It's superb.
What's possible for Oscar tomorrow?
Sky's the limit for this guy, I mean, I don't think it's too far off, someone like when Verstappen turned up, with all of the hype around him from junior formulas. And it was in those early races, in those early wet races, where he started to show his form. You look back even to the 1980s, so much hype around a young guy called Ayrton Senna, and you get to the Monaco Grand Prix in '84, and who is the guy who was absolutely tearing through the field? It was Ayrton Senna. And also that day, a young guy, Stefan Beloff, who was absolutely flying through the field. Those kind of conditions, young kids showing everybody up and showing what they can do in these great circuits on these great tracks. I mean, particularly when you think of Stefan Beloff, you sadly think of Spa as well. But it's when the car doesn't make the difference and the driver does, and that's what they always say about the rain, is that you can really see the driver make the difference. And he is doing, and he's proving everyone right. We saw Mark Webber this morning, who's his manager, and I haven't seen Mark bouncing through the podium since he was winning Grand Prix for Red Bull Racing. I haven't seen him this happy in like a decade. Yeah, and Oscar and his whole family, they're lovely. They're very humble, and they just get on with it, and he keeps his head down. He's not the big I am. He's not, he's not full of ego. He's just, he just gets on with it. He's something very special.
Yeah, he really is. George Russell there causing absolute mayhem behind us as we reach the end of the show. And look, Max Verstappen once again reigns supreme with that thrilling overtake to retake the lead from Oscar Piastri. And he heads into tomorrow's race, of course, starting from P6 on the grid thanks to that gearbox penalty. But I'm pretty sure he'll be able to overtake here. Here's how race day looks then. 2 p.m. for your pre-race show. And then the Belgian Grand Prix at 3 p.m. The post-race show will be immediately after the podium, and Charles Leclerc will be on pole here in Spa. Well, there we have it, the sprint race. Pretty chaotic in the end, wasn't it? Very eventful over a number of maybe reduced laps, but they were certainly action-packed. Max Verstappen wins the sprint race here. Brilliant results for Oscar Piastri and Pierre Gasly. We'll see you tomorrow.
어디 갈까?
그러게.
나 사실
나도 할 말 있는데. 모텔 갈까?
모텔 갈까?
이 가격이면.
눈치 필요 없네.
그러게.
더워. 25도까지만.
추워. 28도까지 해.
우리 헤어져.
뭐?
여름아! 방금 끈적거리고.
이제 에어컨 온도 안 내려도
쾌적한데?
그리고 이게 신혼 필수템이래. 여름에
시원하자.
습도를 낮춘 쾌적한 세공기 속에서 각자 원하는 온도로 시원하게.
아침이 다르지?
우리 집 공기는
경동 나비엔.
Hello folks and welcome to F1 Live, your post-race show coming to you live from the paddock here at the Red Bull Ring. Charles Leclerc is back on the top step at the podium for the first time since Australia. Pietro Fittipaldi joins me to go through the race, as does Alex Albon. And Alex, it was so close to points, man. But at least you got to have a whole Grand Prix in the new car. How did it feel? How did it drive, given that you were so close to points in the end?
Yeah, tricky one out there. You know, obviously it's frustrating when you're in the points and then you just miss out. As a team, you know, we're hungry for points. That's our goal every race. So yeah, it is what it is. I think we missed a little bit of pace out there today. Tire deg was a thing, and when you have to match the people around you and you can't back off the pace, you can't manage your tires, you're always going to eventually deg. And I knew when I was driving around there, I was like, I'm driving about, you know, it's not much. It's 2-3 tenths a lap that you're hurting the tires in terms of you're out driving what the tires can really do. It pays you back in it, and it bit me. So anyway, yeah, you have to take the risk, you know, especially when you're running P10. You got to give it everything. We gave it everything today, and we just missed out.
How important was today as kind of a competitive test session, I guess, for this brand new car? Because Silverstone was so disrupted with the weather. You obviously didn't get a lap in the Grand Prix, and then this weekend with the sprint and everything else, it's given you a lot of laps.
It is, and exactly that. So I'd call this race as almost our first proper debut of the new car, and we've done a lot of mileage today. Good mileage as well. We've actually, on my side as well, I was learning quite a lot about the car during the race, seeing how it behaved. The wind was going crazy today. It was doing backflips, 180s, 360s. Everything it had it. So maybe it was the orange flares just creating all these gusts of wind, but it was interesting to see, and we've got a full set of data now to have a look at before France, and we'll study that and you know, pick apart the places that obviously are better than the previous car, but also the areas that we need to work on.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Alex.
Very much.
Appreciate it very much. Hello, Pietro.
Hello.
It was quite a Grand Prix today, a really exciting race. Great for Charles Leclerc to have him back on. Fernando Alonso drove well to P10, but he is under investigation. His third and final pit stop, the car was released.
다양한 수면 스타일을 가진 사람들의 세상. 이 마을의 사람들을 소개합니다.
갖고 싶은 거 전부 플렉스.
능력자 그 이상의 초능력자.
여기는 침대 월드.
침대를 사랑하는 침대 요정. 이 재미를 왜 모를까?
이게 더 재밌거든.
남편은 골프왕, 아내는 영화광. 취미 재벌 부부.
언제까지 운동할 거냐고? 평생.
24시간 운동하는 내 몸 사랑꾼.
딸, 누구 닮아 이렇게 예뻐?
한순간도 떨어지기 싫은 껌딱지 부녀.
121, 122 어디까지 샜더라.
양만세다 아침 맞는 숙면 불가.
아이고 내 허리.
곡소리의 달인 만성 통증러. 이토록 다양한 라이프. 누구나 자기에게 맞는 수면이 필요하니까 시작합니다. 배드 테이스트 소사이어티 비렉스 슬립 시스템 81.
안녕하세요. 한삼 조유채입니다. 정말 어떡해요. 벌써 이렇게 무더위가 찾아왔는데 이렇게 더우면 사실 가볍게 그리고 티셔츠 한 장만 입게 되잖아요. 오늘은 야심차게 준비한 티셔츠 모음입니다. 사실 불량 이슈 때문에 정말 고르고 골라서 어렵게 선별해서 가져온 아이템들이니까 스타일링도 재밌게 봐주시면 좋을 것 같고, 그러면 바로 만나러 가볼까요? 고고! 처음 소개할 아이템은 바로 호불호가 없을 것 같은 베이직한 아이템을 가지고 왔습니다. 바로 타임의 린넨 유넥 티셔츠인데요. 이 티셔츠는 일단 면과 린넨이 혼방된 소재여서 굉장히 가볍고 시원하게 착용하기 좋아요. 그리고 무엇보다 목선이 자유롭게 드러나는 유넥 라인이어서 뭔가 기본 티셔츠보다는 조금 더 여성스럽고 여유로운 무드가 느껴지는 것 같습니다. 그리고 가슴 포켓이랑 요 밑에 로고 자수가 있는데 이것도 심플하지만 좀 밋밋하지 않은 포인트인 것 같아요. 핏은 전체적으로 여유로운 레귤러 핏이어서 이렇게 팬츠나 스커트에 부담없이 착용하기 좋고, 제가 이제 아더 컬러를 입어봤는데요. 아더 컬러는 원래 기존에 입었던 컬러 위에다가 같이 레이어드 해서 입어봤어요. 이것도 너무 매력적이지 않나요? 이렇게 티셔츠 하나만으로도 깔끔하고 세련된 여름 출근 룩으로 한번 완성해봤습니다. 여름에는 이런 그래픽 티셔츠가 필수잖아요. 제가 너무 사랑하는 리던의 제품을 가지고 왔는데요. 이번에 한섬 익스클루시브 제품이어서 냉큼 가지고 왔습니다. 일단 블랙 컬러에 귀여운 스누피 그래픽이 들어가 있어서 하나만 있어도 확실한 포인트가 되고요. 리던 하면 또 빈티지한 이 멋이 있잖아요. 그래서 빈티지한 레터링에 레드 컬러까지 디테일이 더해져서 캐주얼한 무드가 매력적인 제품이에요. 핏이 너무 크거나 타이트하지 않은 기본 핏이어서 이렇게 블랙 데님이나 아니면 슬랙스, 슈츠까지 다양하게 매치하기 좋고요. 무엇보다 이거는 익스클루시브 제품이어서 한섬에서만 만나보실 수 있어요. 이렇게 레드 포인트로 준 룩 입어봤는데 어떤가요? 여름에 포인트 줄 티셔츠를 찾고 계셨다면 눈여겨보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 다음 소개할 아이템은 데이드리머의 그래픽 티셔츠인데요. 보자마자 여름이 떠오르는 그런 경쾌한 티셔츠고요. 일단 이 티셔츠는 앞면에 들어간 그래픽과 레터링이 하나만 입어도 여름 느낌을 물씬 나게 해주는 것 같아요. 컬러감도 키치한 무드가 있어서 기본 티셔츠보다는 조금 더 스타일링에 재미를 줄 수 있을 것 같고요. 이렇게 스커트랑은 물론 데님과도 너무 잘 어울릴 것 같다는 생각을 했습니다. 캐주얼한 티셔츠에 여름 실루엣이 더해진 스타일링을 해봤는데요. 여기에 이제 시어한 가디건과 젤리 샌들을 더해서 아주 가볍고 시원한 무드로 스타일링 해봤습니다. 진짜 이대로 입고 데이트 가고 싶어요. 다음은 제가 너무 사랑하는 컬러 티셔츠를 가지고 왔는데요. 일단 이 컬러 배색이 너무 예쁜 것 같아요. 일단 이 레드와 브라운의 조합이 이 소매랑 밑단에 이렇게 프릴로 들어가 있어서 조금 심심하지 않은 디테일이 있는 것 같고요. 전체적으로 여유롭게 떨어지는 핏이어서 편하게 입기 좋은 것 같아요. 일단 처음으로는 스커트랑 같이 매치를 해봤는데 여성스러운 무드가 더해져서 데일리룩으로 입으면 좋을 것 같습니다. 아더 컬러는 조금 푸른 톤으로 입어봤어요. 데님이랑 같이 매치를 했는데 데님도 마찬가지로 컬러 배색이 너무 예쁘지 않나요? 딱 이렇게만 입으면 정말 레이어드 걱정 없이 스타일링을 할 수 있어서 좋은 것 같습니다. 다음은 여름에도 긴팔 포기 못하시는 분들 계시죠? 저도 이제는 햇빛이 너무 세면 한여름에도 긴팔을 좀 자주 찾게 되는 편인 것 같은데 이 시스템의 롱 슬리브 티셔츠는 얇고 부드러운 소재에 정말 찰랑찰랑 부담 없이 입기 좋은 티셔츠예요. 전체적으로 여유롭게 떨어지는 핏이어서 더운 날에도 답답한 느낌 없이 입을 수 있는 제품인 것 같고 앞면에 이렇게 은근한 로고 디테일이 있거든요. 그래서 이것도 은은한 포인트가 되는 것 같습니다. 이렇게 단독으로 입어도 좋지만 다양한 아이템이랑 레이어드하기도 좋아서 기본템으로 추천드리는 제품입니다. 더 컬러풀한 그런 팬츠랑 같이 매치해서 데일리 룩을 한번 입어봤어요. 너무 하얀색이 부담스럽다 싶으신 분들은 이 다른 아더 컬러도 추천드립니다. 마지막 룩은 요즘에 많이 보이는 레이어드 스타일, 어떻게 입어야 될지 고민되시는 분들 많으시죠? 요거는 이제 긴팔 티셔츠와 슬리브리스가 세트로 구성된 제품인데요. 이미 이렇게 조합이 완성되어 있어서 별다른 고민 없이 이렇게만 입어도 자연스럽게 레이어드한 느낌을 연출을 하실 수가 있습니다. 일단 전체적으로 군더더기 없는 디자인에 컬러도 정말 깔끔해서 화려한 스타일보다 좀 심플한 미니멀 스타일을 선호하시는 분들에게 특히나 추천드리고 싶고요. 리브 소재가 세로로 나 있어서 바디라인을 정말 자연스럽게 잡아줘서 이렇게 단독으로 입어도 깔끔한 느낌이 살아나는 것 같아요. 저는 데님 버뮤다 팬츠랑 같이 매치해서 조금 편안하면서도 담백한 여름 룩을 스타일링 해봤습니다. 네, 지금까지 여러 가지 티셔츠를 만나봤는데 저는 정말 다 가지고 싶었어요. 한 장에 또 될 것 같은데 여러분들도 제품 보시고 장바구니에 담으셔서 10% 쿠폰 알차게 쓰셨으면 좋겠습니다. 그러면 저희는 다음 리뷰에서 만나요. 안녕! 근데 진짜 제가 지금 입은 이 티셔츠도 너무 이쁘지 않나요? 저는 이것도 사실 소개하고 싶었는데 어떡해. 분량 늘려줘.
In some way, shape or form that either it shouldn't have been or the car wasn't quite ready. We're not entirely sure, but he's got to go and see the stewards. It was Leclerc, race winner from Verstappen and Hamilton. Probably not an order that we would have expected at lights out.
No, definitely not. I thought once the start happened and Verstappen was able to get a lead from the start, I thought he was going to, blow away, kind of like yesterday in the sprint race. But Ferrari had a lot of pace.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I don't know if you were, but I wasn't.
I don't think he was, to be honest with you. I really don't think Max Verstappen was. This is it, because for the first time this year, we saw Ferrari take the fight to Red Bull and overtake them on track. So far this year, with Ferrari having the more pole positions, it's been Red Bull who were the ones attacking, Red Bull who took the race to Ferrari, Red Bull who overtook the Ferrari and then won the Grand Prix. Today, a total 180.
Yeah, and as we spoke before the show started, Ferrari stuck to their guns, their strategy, because when Verstappen boxed, he was doing quicker laps. I thought, oh, they're going to undercut and they're going to get the track position again, but Ferrari kept their strategy, kept their heads, and did a mega race.
And this was it. This was the first move, Charles Leclerc on Max Verstappen. Didn't quite get him at 3, held back, got the DRS, and got a lovely run down.
Lovely run into turn 4. Not sure if he got him. Well, that's
the second move.
Well, that's a move into turn 4.
That is a move.
It's so easy to lock up there and end up hitting your competitor. That's a heck of a move there.
Or is that the first move? No, they're on medium, so that's the first move. My apologies for that. Then Verstappen came in pretty early, actually, compared to everybody else. Verstappen stopping on lap 14. Leclerc ultimately waiting, and as you said, they stuck to their guns, they stuck to their strategy. Came in lap 26, 12 laps later.
And I thought here, that's when they lost track and they said, was this a mistake? Should they have covered Verstappen's early stop? But they stuck to what they had, and it worked out. Passed them again into turn 2.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. On the hard tyre. And the hard tyre really came to life in those early laps, didn't it? They were putting in the 1-minute 9s. Beautiful. Then Verstappen comes in for his second stop. Again, earlier than the Ferraris. Verstappen's second stop on lap 37. And we're thinking, are Ferrari going to play the same game? Will they wait those 12 laps? And sure enough, lap 39. Lap 49, sorry. In comes Leclerc for his second stop. It's game on at this point. And then the wonderful move, the wonderful pass, getting the job done. Leclerc back into the lead. And to be honest, it looked like it was going to be a Ferrari 1-2 because Carlos Sainz was coming in fast, hooked himself onto the back of Max Verstappen, and we're like, this is it, this is it. And then heartache for the British Grand Prix winner as his engine let go. Huge let go for that Ferrari engine in the back.
It was definitely going to be a 1-2 because just when the engine had gone, he had DRS, was going to possibly lunge into turn 4, or if not the next lap, and then boom, the engine goes, Catches on fire.
It was huge. Yeah, it's this part here where it suddenly pops and goes, and then the whole rear of the car sets on fire. He can't get it into, can't either leave it in gear or get the brakes locked on, and so it starts rolling back. There's flames licking out everywhere. Carlos, though, emerges from the car. He's okay. He's just back in the media pen to our left-hand side at the moment, talking to the press. But that could be a huge turning point in this championship for Carlos Sainz. Should have been picking up 18 points today, is picking up 0 points. I guess luckily for him, Sergio Perez was already out of the race at that point, so it's only 1 Red Bull, 1 Ferrari. But with Verstappen now leading the championship, Leclerc P2, Perez 3, Sainz 4, we've just finished the first half of the season.
I know. It would have been, I mean, at least for the championship, it would have been good if you would have finished second, because then you have kind of 3 guys almost fighting for the championship, and Perez right there as well. So definitely a big blow. It's 18 points or 15 points. No, 18. I think you would have gotten past Verstappen. 18. So, yeah, definitely a shame. And it would have been good just carrying on the momentum from Silverstone. P2 finish, still very competitive in terms of speed compared to Charles.
He's looked good all weekend.
Yeah.
Really looked good all weekend. And as you said, Ferrari stuck to their guns, because when Verstappen came in very early on, lap 14, we're thinking, okay, he's out on the hard tire. He's putting in 1:09s. He's running at least half a second, at times 1 second a lap quicker than Leclerc. Under normal circumstances, and we've been talking about it a lot this weekend, Ferrari haven't been making the greatest of strategic decisions this year. Under any normal circumstance, we think maybe they're going to respond to this. But by the time they could have responded, it was already too late. Max had already cut the gap back. They stuck to their guns, stuck for another 12 laps, because they knew when they put those hards on, they were going to have the pace. And sure enough, a second to a second and a half a lap at pace advantage. Bang, up, catches, passes him. Each time with those stops, with those 2 pit stops, it was perfect from Ferrari today.
Very confident in their strategy, in the pace they had, that even with Verstappen on better tires, gonna get the undercut, they knew they had the pace to be able to stop later and still overtake Verstappen. Yeah. That's exactly what they did. And for sure, when I was, because during the races I stay in the engineering truck looking at some of the data, and when I saw that and I saw Verstappen doing those quicker lap times, I said, man, I can't believe Ferrari aren't catching this.
Yeah.
But then no, actually they were doing a solid job, kept to their strategy, and was gonna get a 1-2.
They outgunned Red Bull today. Red Bull didn't have the answer. The deg was too high on the tires for Max Verstappen. He's admitted as much after the race today. This is not a situation that we've been used to seeing this year. Red Bull's race pace has been its strength, particularly at straight line speed. And this weekend, they just didn't have the tools to contend with that Ferrari.
Yeah, and they're usually very strong here. So I was gonna think, you know, Red Bull are gonna win this. They won yesterday. They're gonna have a good start here and just kind of control the race, and they didn't. So I don't know if that's kind of shows what's coming. Paul Ricard is a very different track as well, and then you're going into Hungary as well, a much tighter track, very high downforce, which could play out to Ferrari in my opinion, because it's not that much of a straight line place. So
could be fascinating. Could be fascinating. Well, he looked so good all the way through this weekend. He won at the British Grand Prix. Should have finished second today. Ultimately, it's a DNF for Carlos Sainz.
매콤한 핫치즈 치킨에 치즈 폭탄으로 더 진하게. 맛있는 게 더 맛있어졌네. 맘스터치 핫 치즈밤.
맘스터치.
Hey Carlos, it was a pretty scary moment after you retired the car. The car was sliding backwards, it was on fire, you couldn't really stop it, you couldn't really get out. Just talk me through what was going through your mind.
Yeah, it was a very tricky situation because I wanted to jump out, but the car was rolling backwards and I didn't want the car to roll back forever. And I knew I was catching a bit of fire and I was waiting for the marshals to come. They never came until quite late, so it was a bit of a moment, but nothing happened.
How frustrating was it, given you should have really been on for a minimum of P2 today?
About the race, you mean?
Yeah, you should have been on for a minimum P2 today.
Yeah,
so it must be frustrating.
We were on for a very easy P2, 1-2 for the team. You know, a very big result for the team. We were very quick on the hard tire, especially, and we were catching back up on Charles, which was good signs that the pace and the momentum that we were getting was very nice. But it looks to be the story of my season. As soon as we get a bit of momentum, there's something that goes wrong, and it's difficult to continue with it. But this weekend we were very quick, and should have been an easy 1-2 for the team.
Hard luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it was squeaky bum time for Charles Leclerc as well, because he had his throttle, which wouldn't completely retract, still having 20-30% throttle in the slow corners. And then he had downshift issues towards the end, so an imperfect day for Ferrari, but great fun behind as well. We had a wonderful midfield battle. Esteban Ocon coming home in P5, and behind the Haas drivers, the McLaren drivers, all getting stuck into the mix and having fun.
Yeah, and it was such a strategy battle as well. A lot of guys stopping early, some a little bit later. Talking about a good race over here.
There we go.
Good race, man.
P5. Yes, look at that smile. I mean, come on. How fun was it out there? Because we were just talking about the crazy midfield battle with the Haas's, with the McLarens, with you guys.
You guys were on fire this weekend.
Yeah, it was good, but still not quite the pace you guys had, man. You guys were flying.
But you guys were fast. I mean, Mick was really flying out there. He was keeping me awake the whole race. So, but no, I mean, it's been a great weekend. Thank you very much. And yeah, we had great pace. We've optimized, quali, sprint quali, and the race. It's 13 points in total that we score. We are tied with McLaren in P4 in the constructors. So. Yeah, we can be happy with the whole thing about this weekend.
That's huge to be tied with McLaren and constructors, especially as we know they're not getting any more upgrades on that car. That's it. Every upgrade you put on your car seems to work. Every weekend you're taking steps forward.
Yeah, we are, and the team is delivering. I went to see the guys, at Composite, that build this floor, that build these side pods, wings. The guys that are working 24/7, and it makes the difference in the end. And this is what I was telling them. We need more of that to be able to fight with the Merc. We've shown today that we're in front of them, or front of one at least at one point, but still we are not able to fight for more than a P5 or P6. So the team is aware, and we have more coming. So it's working with it should, and we are really pleased with the performance.
And what a boost coming into your home Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly. We go there with good confidence, for sure. French Grand Prix, I have my own grandstand as well for the first time.
Amazing.
So, yeah, there's going to be...
Just for you? You're just going to sit there?
Yeah, I'm going to go and see everyone, for sure. But yeah, it's awesome to be in France, to drive with a French car, French-British, but French car also. And yeah, I look forward to being recount.
Incidentally, do you know how fast your grandstand sold out for the Grand Prix?
No, do you know, Will?
Yeah.
How quickly?
15 seconds.
No, you're joking.
Apparently it was 15 seconds. The phone lines were jammed, and it was like,
no way.
Done. I think that sold out quicker than Glastonbury, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on the show,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
We'll see you in France in a few weeks. He's never not smiling at the moment, really. It's great to see. He's doing a phenomenal job. And as we were saying, those upgrades on that car, they put them on, they work straight away. The correlation is perfect. The upgrades are working. P4 in the Constructors' Championship is huge.
Yeah, it's very important. And as you said, I think that keyword correlation, because sometimes if the data isn't correlated with what they're getting on, like CFD and all the simulation they do, they produce the part. But if it's not exactly correlated, they bring the part and it doesn't produce what the results they're expecting. But with them, it's been producing
Huge.
results.
Yeah, absolutely huge. A team that is starting to struggle is the team that they are now matching for P4 in the Constructors. That's McLaren. They had a horrible qualifying, P15, P16, made some places up in the sprint. But today, both drivers in the points, Lando P7, Daniel P9, were able to fight with your guys a lot during the Grand Prix. They pitted early, which looked to be an interesting decision, but they came good at the end.
Yeah, I think they were kind of being careful as well with the blue flags, because when you're in that position, if you get the blue flag, I think you have 2 sectors that you need to give the position, and if you get a blue flag, you end up losing like 2-3 seconds. So they pitted early, I think, to avoid that. And as well, Norris had the 5-second penalty that he served in the pit stop. That's why he lost so many places on the first pit stop, because they were able to serve the 5-second penalty from track limits in their pit stop and then work on recovering from them.
They are in the same position that Haas has been in since the start of the season. Did you just hit yourself in the face, Lando? The water. Oh, it was water. Well, I mean, the first mistake of the day, really, because other than that,
no,
you've had
it wasn't. I had a 5-second penalty, so
well,
I had
other than that,
four mistakes.
We weren't going to talk about that.
Yeah, it's stupid, huh?
Yes,
but it's also my fault. So.
You weren't the only one. You weren't the only one. Great day, great. I mean, from where you guys were Friday night post-quali to where you are now, both in the points.
No,
it's not bad.
I'm happy with everything. It's been a very tough weekend just because of the amount of issues we've had. And especially when you only have one session, you're under like more stress and pressure to make a perfect setup and to figure things out and to gather information. And we didn't really gather enough information to put the car, especially a car which is probably harder to set up than normal, in the correct window. So like we've always been a few too many steps behind, and when we got to qualifying, we were like, oh, we should have, you know, if only we did a few more laps, we would have realized this and realized that and made changes. And I think some positives from all of this is we know we weren't performing at the perfect level we should have been. And if we could start the weekend again, I think we'd be in a much more competitive position, which is a good sign. And hopefully we can just bring that into the next race in wherever it is, France. But it's a very different track and so on. So we'll see. But I'm happy. Double points finish is what we wanted, is what we spoke about before the race, and that's what we achieved. So.
And you love this place. It brings something very special.
It's just the orange fans from McLaren.
No, but really, when you get hooked up around here, it's beautiful to watch. And watching you racing out there today was wonderful.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know why. It's just a track I enjoy driving. Comes to my strengths in some ways with the high speed, you know, where you need big cojones. It's just that's, and every driver has strengths and weaknesses, and the high speed is one of mine. It's where I perform well. It's where I can just feel that limit easier or better than some other drivers, and you get a lot of lap time when you have that car which can give you the confidence in the high speed and so on. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think I made my life difficult with the penalties and stuff today, but it also made it more enjoyable because I had to race back through, and you know, with the Haas guys, I had a lot of fun today. So
great stuff. Thanks for coming on the show, man. You can
no
let
worries. You got no sweets or anything?
No, we used to. We were talking about this earlier in the weekend. This used to be the show where you could come and have like an ice pop or some sweeties or some chocolate or something. Should we start doing the ice lollies?
You know what's good? Frozen Capri Suns.
Oh, nice. Have you had
put them in a freeze?
Have you ever had a frozen Five Alive, or are you too young to remember Five Alives? Like a little juice box. You know, like the cardboard juice box, and then you just peel it.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. They're good.
You can What's the other one? Like these triangle ice lolly ones?
Juicies.
Are they? Oh my! I'm not.
We're giving lots of people lots of free advertising. Can we have some of those for the next show?
Thank you very much. I mean, Capri Sun already give me a load of free Capri Suns. So
do they?
Thank you very much, Capri Suns.
Okay.
I'm enjoying them.
Well, we'll get some at the next race and we'll freeze them for you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful stuff. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you.
There you go, folks. There's a tip for the summer. Frozen Capri Sun. Daniel Ricciardo back in the points after what has been a very difficult start to the season. And boy, he needed it, because there's talk coming through, photographs coming through. There is a McLaren at Portimao. Colton Herta will be testing tomorrow for McLaren.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. I think that's good for Colton at least, you know, be able. I don't know which car is it.
It's last year's.
The last year's
MCL 35.
That'll be definitely a good experience. You never know what can happen, you know. But yeah, for Daniel, I think did a good job today.
Yes.
He had good pace as well. He was always there, you know, staying with Lando, and
yeah, he was.
Yeah, he wasn't like falling back.
No.
He was staying he was in that rhythm, in the groove. So yeah, I mean, I like Daniel a lot. He's always been a very good guy with me, and when I did my debut in Formula One, we were in the same hotel. I went for breakfast and I asked him a couple questions. He was like super open and everything. Yeah, so he's been a great guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy. Solid racer as well. Daniel Ricciardo back in the points and talking to Lawrence Barretto.
Daniel, so good to see you back in the points.
Thank you, Lawrence.
I just saw you chat to Lando earlier about how tricky it was out there with the wind.
Yeah, it was certainly tricky. I mean, we don't expect it to not be tricky, but it was at times very tricky, and just kind of just talking about how it's so hard to be consistent. Like, you know, sometimes I would have like half a second swings from one lap to the next, and then I'd say, oh, you know, my tires are dead, and then 2 laps later I was able to then get back down to a lap time. So it was really still very tricky.
요새 또 호텔보다는 모캉스가 또 있더라고요. 그래서 오늘 모캉스를 가볼 겁니다. 아고다와 함께. 아고다에 보면 이렇게 모텔이라는 항목이 있거든요. 이렇게 예약을 했습니다. 가격 비교하는 대신 아고다를 이용하시면 싸게 할 수 있습니다. 아고다 이용하세요. 이거지. 한복판에 이런 좋은 곳이 저렴하게. 모캉스는 아고다. 주위에 있으면서 너무 편하게도 쓸 수 있고 가격도 부담스럽지 않고. 모캉스 예약은 고민 없이 아고다. 너무 행복해. 아고다 화이팅. 그럼 안녕. 아고다.
레드 테이스트 소사이어티. 슬기로운 침대 생활.
업무는 앉아서 해결. 컨텐츠는 가장 편안한 자세로 정복. 모든 취미를 무중력 모드로.
침대를 사랑하는 당신을 위한 비렉스 R3 모션 베드. 이제 원하는 형태로 머리, 허리, 다리까지 전신 각도 조절이 가능하니까 이게 천국이죠. 모두의 수면 취향을 존중하는 세상. 비렉스 슬립 시스템 81.
And not always that easy to understand what exactly you're going to get or what's going on, but the winds can affect that. But